Hello, hello, hello. Stephanie Zima here with My Way of Life Coaching. And today we are talking about what if nobody ever buys from me? That fear is so predominant and keeping you stuck in fight, flight, and freeze mode that you probably don't even take the necessary steps to actually get your business going and growing. And what I mean by that, right, is the fact that fight, flight, and freeze mode is not what the general network marketers or online trainers are training you about, right? They are usually telling you the how to, the steps that you need to take, but nobody really ties together what the impact of your thoughts, your paradigm, your inner belief system, and what it does to your body has to do with you actually not taking the steps to succeed in your business, okay? And this is what Walk It Free is all about, you guys. It's not mindset that fixes things. Mindset hacks won't fix the emotional wounds that are blocking your success. You need a whole new identity. That is really what's happening. So if you're struggling with thoughts like, what if nobody ever buys from me? It's not a how to fix that you need. It's the identity fix that you need to have. And that is what the Walk It Free method, the Heal, Connect, and Level Up is giving you. This is why I'm so different with my coachings than everyone else that you are maybe having in your upline or in your company or in your boss or whatever, right? Okay, so let's dive into this a little bit and break this down so you have a little bit information on how to overcome this. So the fear of what if nobody ever buys from me actually has something to do with your existential identity, right? Because it would be so painful if you are being the one that's disregarded. And probably if you've ever had that fear, you have been disregarded, aka abandoned, in the past somewhere. Maybe your desires and your needs were not seen. Maybe you were too loud and people are just really not paying attention to you. There's a little gazillion different ways that could happen. And if you are in my coaching program, that's what we would identify. That's what we would be talking about. Like, what is it exactly for you? Because we all are so different. Every single one of us has different nuances of the same problem, and that is why it makes training the masses so hard, right, for people to actually train you, because your unique story is unique to you. And I can give you here in the form of a free live video, I can give you here just a little bit of a overview so you can maybe work with this on your own. But if you really want to have some help with that, some guidance as to what it exactly is for you, you would have to get into the coaching program so we can find and figure out your unique story. Okay. So maybe you have been abandoned in the past, maybe that part, the fact that nobody's really paid attention to your needs, your desires. Maybe you were the kid that was always okay. Maybe you are the person that really didn't scream the loudest and demanded the most attention. Maybe you are the introvert that is not the first and front person on the line, and therefore you've been overlooked. And all of scenarios like these, you could have adapted the belief, the basically wrong belief, that you are not good enough, that you are not worthy enough, that people shouldn't be considering your offer. Maybe they're looking at everybody else's offer, but they're not considering your offer. Okay. So there is a misalignment between where you want to be with what your goals are, your subconscious goal, like your conscious goals, right? You want to sell certain things, but your subconscious self doesn't believe that you can. Okay, there is a gap, this gap that you have in between there. That is where the problem is. That gap is your system, your subconscious system will always lead you back to where you are believing, like to the level of what you're believing at. Okay, so the goal is, if you want to overcome this, what if nobody ever buys from me, is first identifying the root source of where that thought is coming from, and then healing that part of like, was it really intentionally? Was it really happening? Because sometimes, and most of the time, I would want to say, most of the time, these little micro wounds that we have adapted, they were not meant. Like, we didn't grow up with cruel people in our lives, most of us at least not, cruel people in our lives that are intending to hurt us. So when I talk about trauma or about wounds, it's not that people are doing these things on purpose, right? They are following their own paradigm. They're following their scripts that they have in their head and their ways of behaving. And most of them are not even aware of what it does to somebody. Like, even me, I mean, I'm more aware than others, but even me, I probably do something to hurt my children along the way, right? I mean, it's not something that, I mean, parents can't always make everything go away, right? So we need to just understand that. But it doesn't take away from the fact that there was something that hurt you. Okay, there was something that needs to be healed now, that needs to be basically straightened out. Okay, something that back then may have been the case for whatever scenario you were in, but now that's not the case anymore. And then this gap here from where you believe you should be from back then, if you don't work with this, if you don't work with what would it be right now today, what's going to happen is you're going to, again, continue to lower your activity, you lower your results, you lower your expectation, always to that lower level of water, right? Things can only rise, like when you have a glass of water, for example. Think about this. If you have a glass of water and you drop something into the water that can float, it can only rise up to that level, the surface level of that water glass, right? That is your belief system. Now, if you want to raise that, if you want to get higher, you've got to raise that belief system inside of you. You've got to raise that identity belief that you have. So if you say, what if nobody ever buys from me? Here is where you want to go. Here's where you are. Now you raise it by asking, what would that person be like that people are buying from? Okay. That's why comparison is not necessarily the worst thing. It's only bad when you are comparing yourself with the lens of not being good enough. But if you're looking at people that are crushing it in your field, when you're looking at people that are good at what they do, and you look at them and say, what are they doing that I'm not doing? What character do they have? How do they show up online? What is it that they can do that I cannot do right now? And when you then have a growth mindset that you are saying, I too can learn these skills. See, that's a thing. Many of you have a fixed mindset where you're like, I'm here and that's it. You need to learn how to have a growth-oriented mindset where you can say, I'm here maybe, here's where I want to go, there's the gap, what skills do I need to develop to get there? And then you need to start understanding that, yes, I can actually make it there. I can make it there because I can learn. I am teachable. I am coachable. I can show up. I can find people that are able to do this. And when you are adapting these kind of statements, the I am messages, the affirmations that I am a person that learns, I am, that's when you raise your identity. That's how you are able to start, adapting the identity of this person that actually can, okay, reach that goal. And then when you combine, when you combine that level of awareness, that level of I am, with action, with also learning the skills, not just learning the mindset, but also learning the skills, and you start learning, doing, learning, doing, learning, doing. When you do that, that's now when you are starting to overcome that gap. That's when you start closing it down to the point of, oh, wait a minute, I too can sell something. And then once you sold something, now your brain learned to say, oh, I'm not that bad. Okay, if I did it once, I can do it again, right? I always laugh. One of my soccer mom friends always says, "You did great. Now do it again." That's exactly what this is about, right? You did great. You can say, "Hey, you did awesome. Now do it again." This is how you teach your brain, "Hey, wait a minute. My identity used to be here, but now I'm kind of here, and this is where I'm going." This is how you're closing the gap. Okay. Now, last but not least, I want to talk to you about the Freedom Mentorship. Okay. In the Freedom Mentorship, we are talking about these kind of things. I'm helping you to close your specific gap. This is a mentorship program that is so different from everyone else. Of course, it's super affordable. It's only $27. And the reason for that is it's a subscription, because I know it takes a long time for people to understand certain things and to work on certain things and to apply. And I didn't want money to be an obstacle. I didn't want money to be an obstacle to develop this growth mindset, this ability to become aware. Okay, because when you pay a lot of money, in my opinion, you need to be ready to learn, absorb, and do, right, so that you can make most out of that money. But I know that with growing your personality, becoming aware, it takes some time, right? It takes time to do that, and I didn't want money to be an object or obstacle. So $27 monthly subscription, this is what it is for you to show up. And then the second thing was, you know, so many times in the masterminds that I've been in, I was so afraid to even speak up because I didn't want people to judge me. We are dealing in this field of growth. We are dealing with shame. We are dealing with hard things. We're dealing with wounds that people are not necessarily wanting to talk about open and honestly, right? And instead of you holding that in and not getting the help you want, what I developed is an opportunity for you to actually ask me all these questions. And then I developed trainings around those topics so that everyone in the community can level up every single week. You can have an opportunity to ask me questions in private, even though it's only $27, and you can get a customized training on every Friday, if that is what it is. So this is something that I needed back then. This is something that I would have liked to really ask deep rooted in shame questions, how to do certain things, how to overcome it, how to get out of bed, how to like all these questions that we may be dealing with when we are dealing with these wounds. Because this gap can be so daunting for many of us, right? Some people are dealing with depression. Some people really know that they are meant for more, but they cannot make themselves get out of bed. Now, I'm not guaranteeing you that I can heal a depression or any of that stuff. That is not what I'm saying here. But what I'm saying here is that, sometimes maybe you have a question that you don't want to ask in public, and that is an opportunity in this program to work with. And also, there's nobody in this field that actually fixes emotional wounding blocks, okay? Because that is what's holding you back. That is what's really missing in these days. And this is what Walk It Free is all about. Finding these and becoming aware of these emotional blocks that we are having, these thoughts that we are dealing with. And from there, taking actionable steps, small little steps in a supported community of people that are valuing growth, that are valuing compassion, that are valuing and picking each other up for where we are at this given time, even if it's not recruiting 50,000 people every month yet, right? This is what the Walk It Free support circles are all about. So if that sounds appealing to you, if that sounds like something you think you want to do, make sure that you are checking out my website. It's www.walkitfree.com/grow, or just comment grow below. And if you want some more information on exactly the system that I'm using, make sure you say www.walkitfree.com/mindset. And that way you can get that mindset video that explains exactly the steps that you are going to go about when we are dealing with the crap in the gap. Okay? All right. The crap in the gap. I crack myself up today. All right, my friends, have a good evening. I'll see you tomorrow. If you have any questions that you do want me to address in these live videos, drop them in the comments or send me a DM. I'd love to help you out. Okay. All right. We'll see you later. Bye.